Oh, man, I'll be honest with you. If it continues like it's going, probably be our best year. Unless something changes, definitely. The way it started out and the way it's going so far, it'll be our best year.
Flatbed owner-operator Ollie Rufus Morris there at the top, reflecting on year 2025 thus far in its operation. Leased today to Material Logistics Management out of Pennsylvania, yet operating from a home base in North Carolina. Morris was nominated for Overdrive's 2025 Trucker of the Year award by his wife and business partner in the one-truck, two-flatbed trailer outfit of Youngville, North Carolina. We featured Morris late last month in Overdrive senior editor Matt Cole's story about the decades of trucking experience behind the May Trucker of the Month. I'm Todd Dills, and today on the podcast we'll dive in with Morris to walk through his current operation and long history. This is his second stint as a trucking business owner, after hauling logs in the late 1990s into this century as an owner-operator. We're right at about halfway through the nomination period for the 2025 Trucker of the Year award. If you've been thinking about entering your own business or that of another owner you admire, the time is now, as Trucker of the Month semi-finalist slots fill up through October before the finalists are announced in December. You can make any nomination at the Trucker of the Month entry page at overdriveonline.com/toptrucker. What's on the table for it? Outside the recognition, a new seat from award sponsors Bostrom Seating and Commercial Vehicle Group. Likewise, a custom-designed scale model of the winning owner's tractor as trophy, delivered at next year's Mid-America Trucking Show. That nomination page, again, overdriveonline.com/toptrucker. Rufus Morris hauls flatbed steel, a good bit of an oversize, and he sounded a good bit like our last Trucker of the Month for April. Independent George Kincaid out of West Virginia, when he looked out at the year ahead as potentially among the best of his career if conditions hold. Rufus Morris pulls in his 2004 model Peterbilt 379 in tip-top shape, shined up and outfitted with plenty in the way of bright parts, lights, and just generally well-maintained, delivering all manner of benefits from the pocketbook on down to the scale houses. He takes pride in safety, clearly. The truck, too.
I mean, the main thing is just to get out there and stay consistent. I mean, you just can't be in a hurry. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. You got to be proud for what you're doing. Keep maintenance up on your truck. I know they say chrome don't get you home, but it does, believe me. You know, it helps. It'll keep you out of the way station a lot of times anyway, you know. I've had a few inspections and stuff like that, you know, not too long ago, but most time they'll bypass me on by, you know. I don't know if it's luck or what it is. But.
If your dog bites the inspector, though, all bets are off. Read an account of one of those fairly recent memory inspections in Matt Cole's story about the Morrises. I'll post a link to it in the show notes for this podcast. Morris and his self-styled Midnight Rider transport you might call a little old school for sure, but he clearly keeps an eye on new ways and new people, too. In today's episode of Overdrive Radio, you'll certainly hear a clear value for business relationships invested in, cemented over time. Key characteristic of so many a successful trucking business owner. Morris offered this word of encouragement for the next generation coming up behind him.
And if you want to do it, if somebody wants to do it, a lot of people say, man, I wouldn't get in trucking for nothing in the world. Don't get me wrong, it's different than it used to be. The trucking we see now ain't nothing like it was back in the day, but I'm hoping it's coming back to a little bit to get back to old school trucking, but I won't tell nobody don't get into it. If they want to do it, I mean, trucking's done me good all these years. I can't complain one bit about it, you know. If they got a dream and wants to do it, I'd say do it.
After a quick break, we'll dive into Morris's history trucking, an early business, long driving experience, and the reboot that was inspired in part by Patricia Morris herself after 25 years in real estate. Rufus Morris, May 2025 Trucker of the Month. Keep tuned.
Hot weather, dry roads, dust blowing through every vent. Summer's tough on your diesel engine, and bad fuel makes it worse. Howe's Diesel Defender cleans your system, fights wear, and boosts lubricity, keeping your engine cool, clean, and protected. Now available in half gallons, quarts, and the all-new 15-ounce bottle, perfect for diesel pickups and smaller tanks. When the heat's on, defend your diesel with Howe's. Find it at retailers nationwide and on Amazon.
And get plenty more information about Howe's Diesel Defender and all of the company's fuel treatments, including its winter anti-gel flagship, Howe's Diesel Treat, at HOWES, HowesProducts.com. Now, Rufus Morris here reaches back to a childhood fascination with trucks and trucking that would lead to him getting his CDL in the mid-1990s. Here we go.
As a kid, I just was fascinated with big trucks. I always wanted to start about driving one and owning one and different stuff like that. So, I got my CDLs and started driving. And actually, I owned a logging truck before, and things didn't work out. Different things in life happened. Ended up buying the truck I got now. My wife decided she wanted to, she said, why don't we just talk about it and see what we can do about getting one, and get started. So I actually got the truck of my dreams, if you don't know the truth. It's a truck I always wanted. A Peterbilt 379 standard hood. So it's kind of how it went. When we talked about it, we said, well, we got a lot of toys, all kinds of toys. We had boats, Harleys, campers, all that stuff. So we turned around and sold all that stuff to get back into trucking. And here we are. I got my CDLs in 95 maybe. So I drove for somebody else for a while. I started that one in a dump truck actually, and just to get experience, So I started out in a dump truck, and then I moved on to pulling logs and chips for a man. Shortly after that's when I got mine. I got my first truck probably in 99 maybe, 98, 99, when I bought my first truck. I started pulling logs. It was a 96 Kenworth W900. I kept it for a few years, and then, like I say, life happens, and it was better off for me to just get out of it, and went through a divorce and all that stuff. So I got out of it, and started driving somebody else again. I think in 2022, that's when we decided to branch out and get back into it again. My wife had she knew nothing about trucking. She knew nothing. She ain't never been in a truck, ain't never desired to be in a truck. Sold real estate for 25 years, but she just, we talked about it and figured this is what, the best thing for us to try. So, like I said, we started looking around and sold all our little toys and found this truck. Her brother actually knew the person that had the truck, and he said, I know somebody's got one for sale. So we looked at it, and actually it was everything I wanted, It's a 04. It's got a 550 cat. 13 speed, got a stretch chassis on it, 300-inch wheelbase, chrome and lights all over it,
Well kept, for certain, by the previous owner, and continued under Rufus and Patricia Morris's care these last several years. They put it to work straight away under their own authority as Midnight Rider Transport, benefiting from the still fairly hot spot freight markets post-COVID, though that first full 2022 year was a doozy for cost inflation with fuel, no doubt.
When we went in it, we started out on our own, my wife was dispatching, and so we had our own authority and everything, and that worked out okay. I was pretty well satisfied with what we were doing, but load boards got a little bit hard to deal with, and brokers, and it was a little bit of headache to it, but we were still doing good, and I'd hauled for this company we leased on to some off the load board, and they called me one day out of the blues and just said, hey, we like the way you haul. Would you be interested in leasing on with the company? This is what we got to offer. So we went back and forth a few times and discussed things, and we leased on with them, and everything, it's been great since we leased on with them, everything's been good. But yeah,
awesome.
We went for probably a year or so on our own, maybe a year and a half, 2 years for ourselves. And then, like I said, we've been with them a year and a half, maybe.
And that's material logistics management. Do you own your own trailer, or do you pull their equipment?
I actually got a trailer. I own my own trailer, but then I rent one. I rent a trailer from them too. My trailer is a 98 utility, 48-foot spread axle. And the one I rent from them is a 2000, yes, flatbed spread axle, yeah. The one I rent from was a 2018, I think it is. Renting there trailer, flatbed, 53-foot.
What kind of freight do you haul on those flatbeds?
Steel, only steel. Okay. We haul beams. The company we leased on to, they're affiliated with Triad Metals, and that's all they own, all the steel. We just move it from place to place, warehouse to customer, and it's kind of like almost like a distributor. Basically, they are, and Triad is, and they got the logistics part of it, which is MLM. So they own all the freight, so it makes it that much better. We don't have to deal with getting on load boards and stuff like that, But yeah, it's only steel. We haul steel beams and oversize most of the time.
Had you done flatbed work before this?
I had. Yeah, I pulled a flatbed, RGN, dump trailer. I pulled pretty much anything, pulled heavy equipment on it, all different stuff. I mean, I pulled pretty much anything you want to. Our real home base is North Carolina, but we're actually sort of based out of Indiana with this company. We were in Virginia at a warehouse there, hauling, Alabama, Georgia, all around that way, Ohio, down that way. But then we come up here to Indiana to a warehouse they got. So we've basically been here since September. We go home about once a month back to North Carolina. We haul around Chicago, Wisconsin, different places. We're starting to go to Arkansas, St. Louis.
All right. Do you typically see the same customers a good bit?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah. Yeah. We normally we got certain customers we go to, we'll get new ones, but then, for the most part, we see the same ones over and over.
Yeah.
Which is good. You build a relationship with them. They get to know you, you get to know them. And so it's good like that. Normally when we go home, we would normally fly home because we just leave the truck at the warehouse and fly home for the weekend or something. She would give us a load to go home. She would give us a load, but the way freight is south and different places like that, it's cheaper actually to fly home than it is to try to drive the truck home and get a load back and all that.
That's incredible. Because I know flying's not necessarily cheap either.
Not always, no. Most time we get a decent rate on the flight, but the main thing is we can work all day here on Friday, get a flight out about 6 o'clock on Friday afternoon. If we fly back on Sunday night, we go right back to work on Monday, so we really ain't lost nothing. You know what I'm saying? We trailers are loaded and we're ready to pull out Sunday night when we get back,
And do you have a kind of a specific plan you like to stick to as far as, greasing, oil changes, any other maintenance? Do you do it yourself?
I do some of it myself. Normally I get my truck serviced every 10,000 miles. I try to keep it at that. The major stuff and like the service and stuff like that, it's just so convenient just to go somewhere else and get it done. You got to report all that to the company we work for, and so it's records everywhere you go. Plus, you got to get rid of the oil, and it's just a lot easier to just get somebody else to do it. If you got somebody you can trust.
Yeah. Do you have one shop that you tend to use?
We got a couple different ones we use, depending on where we're at. Mm-hmm. I try to go to the same place every time. We, like I said, there again, that's something you build up a rapport with. You get to know them, they get to know you, and then they know what to expect out of you, and you know what to expect out of them. They know what I'm expecting when they work on my truck and do whatever to it, and then so it works out good like that.
As any regular Overdrive reader will know, flatbed freight markets saw a decided improvement over prior years early this year, and Rufus Morris's operation has benefited in that regard with demand for his leasing partner steel. Despite uncertainty about what's ahead, particularly so this year, owner-operator Morris sees a variety of other benefits to the work outside of general business prospects, too.
Actually, flatbed has been very good for me. I couldn't see myself doing nothing else. I mean, as far as driving a truck, it pays good, the flatbed does, especially pulling steel, oversized stuff. And then you pull a van, you just don't get no exercise. You don't do, you just sit in the truck. I like to be active, much as I can. But as far as rates have been up and down, and right now they're back up some. It's a lot better than it was.
Yeah, Flatbed's had a pretty good year so far.
Yeah, oh yeah, we've stayed steady the whole year, and like I said, when we were on our own, we still done really good with rates and stuff, because we had a lot of customers we dealt with, brokers and stuff we dealt with on a regular basis, and we got what they would call us if they had stuff and keep us going, and so they give us a decent rate with that too, So I never really had a situation where rates weren't satisfactory to me,
Do you feel like things have been more comfortable, more consistent since you leased on with MLM?
Probably so. It's just more security. You got people behind you, you know what I'm saying? They've got plenty of stuff that they can offer you as far as loads and stuff. So yeah, I have to say it's probably a lot less stress and a lot less worry about where my next load is coming from, because I know they're going to get me something. Since I've been here, I don't think it's been actually maybe one time that I didn't have a load or 2 or 3 loads booked out since I've been here. So yeah, they keep me busy. That's definitely a good feeling. And like I said, my wife done the dispatching, so she would call about, she'd be on the load board 24/7, and then she'd see a load on, and it just hit. And we paid extra for the load board to have so we could get kind of the quick. We would be one of the first ones to see the loads when they popped up. Well, even at that, she'd call about the load and it was already gone, or somebody undercut it, or just whatever, So it got frustrating to her, and she pretty much kind of was like, I'm just kind of defeated almost, because we, sometimes, sometimes it would be good, but yeah, I think we did a good move by moving over to MLM all the way around.
Does Trish still do a good bit of your paperwork and stuff? Does she manage the financial side of the business?
Oh yeah, she pretty much does all that. I drive. That's it. Yeah.
All right.
I ain't a good paperwork person. I will do it if I have to, but I really choose not to do a whole lot of paperwork. I'm better driving. And yeah, she takes care of all the sending the paperwork in to the company and getting it, making sure they got all our logs in, and they got everything they need. She makes sure they got. She does all that.
The Morrises and their Midnight Rider transport business have their eyes ahead on the next decade to continue to build the nest egg for, at the very least, a semblance of semi-retirement, Rufus told Matt Cole in response to a question about retirement savings.
10 years or so, not retire completely, because I really don't ever want to retire completely, but I just, to slow down and make it feel more like a, not a job, something you got to do. But that's what my goal is, save and just try to enjoy life and retire and maybe haul a couple loads a week, because I really don't want to retire completely.
One thing a lot of owner-operators struggle with is health insurance and finding affordable options. What do you do for health insurance?
Yeah, we had to pay for it. It ain't affordable. It is affordable because we do it, but definitely if you work for somebody else, you'd have a better payment on insurance and whatever. But we just pay for it. Because you got to have health insurance. You never know what's going to happen. If you don't have it, you could pretty much lose everything you got,
What kind of things do you like to do outside of trucking?
I'll be honest with you, I don't really know, because that's all I do. if I ain't driving on it, I'm working on it or polishing on it or doing something with it, Yeah, we used to get on the boat. We had a boat. We got on the boat. We had an RV. We went camping and went, different places and stuff like that. And we still go down on the weekends, and do stuff, but we might ride and sightsee different places, and go to different little towns. If we're close to somewhere, just see what they offer, and then my wife's jealous sometimes. She said I treat the truck better than I do her, but I don't believe that, I just told her the only thing about the truck is the truck makes me money. She costs me money, so I don't know, how that goes.
A little good-natured ribbing there from husband to wife. and business partner for certain. Here's a big thanks to Patricia Morris, one half of the Midnight Rider transport business, for nominating Rufus Morris for Overdrive's 2025 Trucker of the Year award. Congrats to Morris on continuing success in 379, hauling steel leased to Material Logistics Management. And like I said at the top, we're at the midway point for nominations for the 2025 Trucker of the Year award. Get your business in the running or nominate another owner-operator you admire, up to 3 trucks, at overdriveonline.com/top-trucker. That's overdriveonline.com/top-trucker. I'll post that link and one to Matt Cole's feature story about the Morrises from late last month in the show notes wherever you're listening. Overdrive Radio is on Spotify and SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts and YouTube, Overdrive's Facebook page, and any listening platform, really. Leave us a review there if you're enjoying these, and a big thanks in advance for it. And as always, big thanks for listening. Overdrive Radio is a production of Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. It's edited and produced by me, Todd Dills, with the acoustic guitar and other support of trucker-songwriter Long Haul Paul Marhofer. The theme is The Legend of the Snake Man by Marhofer, featuring the guitar work of Travis, the Snake Man himself, Whammick, Terry Two Socks Richardson on bass, keys by Tishomingo Jim Whitehead, and on drums, Andrew Marshall. The podcast is backed up further by Overdrive's own social media coordinator, Jasmine Campbell, senior editor Matt Cole, whom we heard asking the questions today, executive editor Alex Lockie, and video editors Lawson Rudisell and Andrew Glenn. We'll see you next time.